I remember the late 70s like they were yesterday. Things were changing quickly, both in the world and in my home. In 1976, the world was full of new ideas, and I could feel the winds of change in the way I managed my home. It was the era of the modern homemaker who, while still deeply committed to creating a warm and welcoming home, also embraced the growing wave of convenience that came with the new technological innovations of the time. The 1970s were a time of both personal freedom and a new sense of efficiency. I remember the early part of this era with fondness. The kitchen had become my playground. No longer did I have to spend hours laboring over a stove to cook every meal. I still loved cooking, but now I could use electric mixers, microwave ovens, and other gadgets to speed up the process. The microwave oven was a true revolution, something that was becoming common in homes everywhere. I could now heat leftovers in a fraction of the time, and frozen dinners became a much-loved convenience in our busy lives. Gone were the days of the heavy, cumbersome appliances. Instead, sleek, efficient designs filled the kitchen. Stainless steel refrigerators and dishwashers that made life easier. I remember my first dishwasher arriving in 1978. It was a luxury I never thought I'd have, and it was such a relief to not have to wash dishes by hand anymore. With both the dishwasher and the microwave, I was able to spend less time on daily chores and more time with my family. While these new appliances made homemaking much easier, I was also becoming more conscious of the environmental and social changes happening around me. The 70s were marked by a greater awareness of energy conservation, and I did my best to keep up with the trend by choosing energy-efficient appliances and being mindful of our consumption. The early 80s felt like a fresh start, a blend of everything we had learned in the previous decade, now built upon with even more technological advances. Personal computers were just beginning to appear in homes, and while they weren't yet as common as they are today, I saw the potential for these machines to transform the way homemakers could manage household tasks. I was fascinated by the idea of using a computer to organize our family calendar, budget, and grocery list. It was still a novelty, but I was already imagining the future it would bring. I also began to see the shift in societal roles and expectations. The women's liberation movement of the 70s had made a lasting impact. And as a homemaker, I was beginning to think more about how I could balance my role at home with my personal aspirations. It wasn't just about cooking and cleaning anymore. It was about finding a sense of identity outside of those roles. I found myself starting to explore hobbies and personal projects that I had put on hold for years. Fashion during this time was also changing. The early 80s saw the rise of bold, colorful prints and power suits for women, but in my home life, comfort remained key. I still wore house dresses and simple clothes while working around the house, but the styles were more relaxed, reflecting the growing desire for convenience and comfort. I loved the more casual approach to homemaking during this time, more about getting things done without feeling constrained by rigid expectations. As I reflect on those years, I realize how much the world changed between 1976 and 1982. The introduction of labor-saving appliances, the rise of personal technology, and the increasing awareness of gender roles all contributed to a transformation in the way I approached homemaking. In many ways, this era felt like a bridge between the traditional homemaking of earlier decades and the more modern, diverse homemaking practices we see today. Homemaking in the late 70s and early 80s was still about creating a warm, inviting home. But now it was infused with a sense of possibility, both for me and for others. It was a time of embracing new tools that made life easier, exploring new personal interests, and redefining what it meant to be a homemaker in a rapidly changing world. Looking back, I am grateful for the ways technology helped make my homemaking journey more efficient, but it also gave me space to grow and change as a person. Those years were a time of balancing tradition and progress, and I look back on them with fondness.